How's everybody out there in Jacksonville doing? Well, thanks. Thank you. I think that's the helicopter come to make sure that Bill Clinton is protected. Thanks so much to my good colleague, Andrew Crenshaw. Thanks so much to my constituent and also co-chair of the Republican Party, Sharon Day. Thanks to all these great elected officials. Thanks to a great chairman for the state of Florida. All eyes are going to be on Florida. We're going to have a great convention, and we're going to deliver this state in November 2012. You know, this is, I believe, about my 5th or 6th time being in Jacksonville. You know, I was born and raised just up the road there in Georgia, and of course, you know, some people in Georgia say this is like an extension of Georgia. So we had a lot of relatives that were down here, and I used to visit as a young kid. And I never would have thought that sometime in my life that I'll be standing on the St. Johns River talking to American patriots. But that, ladies and gentlemen, being born in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, standing here today, tells you how exceptional and great the United States of America truly is. Now, maybe if we could be so lucky, we could have a twofer. If someone could run down a couple of 100 meters and ask Bill Clinton to come down here, maybe we could have a debate right here in front of you all. But see, I will give former President Clinton some kudos. Because in 1994, when he lost those midterm elections, he pivoted. He pivoted and he worked with the Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate. We had welfare reform. We reduced the size and scope of the government. We created a surplus, but that is unlike the person that is currently occupying the White House, because he has tripled down on his failed economic policies, his failed national security policies, and he's taken this country down the road to perdition. And that's why we don't need President Barack Hussein Obama once again going back into the White House come January 2013. You know, a lot has been said about the convictions that I have, the stances that I take, and it's very simple. You know, we're coming up on Mother's Day. My mother's not with us anymore. She passed away in 1994. But my mother raised me in the old school ways. And she taught me one thing very simple, that a man must stand for something or else he will fall for anything. And right now, we need to have convicted individuals that believe in our Constitution, that understand this constitutional republic that our founding fathers established for us, so that we can make sure that the greatness that is America, that has gotten us to this point in 236 years, can continue on for another 236 years. That's the challenge that we have. This is truly a choice between two futures for the United States of America. And if you don't understand that contrast, if you don't understand the difference about where this country could go and where it should go, then just pay attention to the elections that happened last weekend in France and in Greece. And think about where this country could go. We do not need to go down that path. But when you listen to the new president that was recently elected in France and some of the rhetoric that is coming out of his mouth, it's the exact same thing that's coming out of the mouth of the president of these great United States of America. So what do I want to talk to you about today? And I won't belabor your time. I want to give you a Mother's Day message. I want to give you a message from my mother who enabled me to stand here today, to the mothers that are out there, to the mothers that are going to be mothers, because that's the legacy of America. Because there are a lot of young children that are out here at this rally. Ladies and gentlemen, mothers, this is a moral decision that you have to make. This is a decision that says, will you continue to saddle your children and your grandchildren with the debt upon debt that we have? Chairman Curry talked about the fact that we're almost $16 trillion in debt. Federal debt can go to $26 trillion. That was what President Obama wants in his fiscal year 2013 budget. Right now, look at these young children out here. Look at that young man back there waving the American flag. He has $50,000 of debt on his head right now. we're crushing him and his future. And what are we going to leave to him? Are we going to leave to him a debt-ridden country? Are we going to leave to him a country that continues to have trillion-dollar-plus deficits? We can't do that to our next generation. We cannot be the first generation of Americans that leave something less than what was left for us. My mother sacrificed. My mother worked hard. My mother, born in 1931 in South Georgia, she went through so many horrible things. But you know what? She could have been bitter. But when she looked at her son, Alan, she let me know that this is the greatest country that the world has ever known. And the opportunities are out there for you. Do not look at yourself and your skin color as a crutch. Look at yourself as a proud American and go out there and enjoy and earn all the great opportunities that this country affords you. That's why I can stand here today. Mothers, that's the promise that you have to make to your children right now. That years from now, they will be able to stand here at the landings and live in the land of the free, because we are the home of the brave. Live in a land where they can enjoy all the great liberties. Live in a land that gives them the voice that they can have in the democratic process. Because there's another side that does not believe in that. There's another side that does not believe in empowering your children and grandchildren for their future. They believe in enslaving your grandchildren and enslaving it to a large bureaucratic nanny state. Because the future may be that as they go out and try to find employment, and you think about those young people, your children that are in college, graduating from college, coming out of high schools, what opportunities do they have when 40 to 45% are not finding work? They're having to move back in home with their mothers and their fathers. And mommies, you got to be like a great American eagle. You got to kick them out the nest. But the problem is this. As Andrew and I sit up there in Washington, D.C., and we see all of these onerous tax and regulatory policies that are killing our job creators, killing the entrepreneurial spirit of America, that's why these opportunities are drying up for our children and grandchildren. Mothers, you've got to get mad. You've got to get engaged. You've got to take back the future for your children and grandchildren. On Inauguration Day for President Obama, the average price of gasoline was $1.84. Even though they say it's come down, it's still $3.83, $3.84. How many mothers out there are suffering when they're trying to pick up their kids and take them to soccer practice, take them to lacrosse games, take them out to enjoy a day on the beach or a day at the park or something of that nature? We cannot continue to do that, mothers. You've got to vote for someone that has an energy security strategy. You think about back in the Carter administration after the Saudi oil embargo crisis, we created a Department of Energy that has one single mission, and that's to make the United States of America energy independent. When you sit around and you talk about wasteful government agencies, when you sit around and talk about how we're wasting American taxpayer dollars, we need to go in and find those failed government agencies and bureaucracies that are letting the American people down. The Department of Energy is one of the places we've got to start, because I want to see those gas prices go down. I want to see us drilling. I want to see us grow the full spectrum of our energy resources: oil, natural gas, nuclear, coal, biofuels, renewables, the full spectrum. So that our mothers do not have to worry about the price of the pump when they try to take their kids out to have a good day. And ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something else. When I finished my 22 years in the United States Army, I taught high school down at Deerfield Beach High School for a year. It was such an enjoyable experience, I volunteered to go back to Afghanistan. Now, we can laugh, but we're failing our kids in our school systems. We grew the bureaucracy of education. You go back and you look at the size of the Department of Education in the late 1970s when we stripped it out from health, education, and welfare. Look at the size of the Department of Education today and ask yourself one simple question. What happened to the standards of education in the United States of America? We grew the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., but yet now when you look at all the statistics, we're 20th or 25th in science and math, technology, engineering programs. We're falling behind. What was once the greatest education system in the world, because we grew the bureaucracy in D.C., is now one of the most failing education systems. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't run education from Washington, D.C. And that's where we need mothers to stand up and support men and women that will go back and get this federal government to understand its right and proper roles and responsibilities. Education is a local issue. Education has to be powered locally. Education has to go back to public-private partnerships so we grow the next generation of productive leaders, critical thinkers for this country. Mothers, think about who stands for the educating of your child, the opportunities that your child will have when they have a good quality education. And last but not least, mothers that are sending their sons and daughters to fight for this great nation. You need to have a commander-in-chief. You need to have a leader that understands what it means to be out there, to raise your right hand, to say that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. You need to have someone that does not want to triple our TRICARE health care fees on our military. You need someone that does not want to gut our military because they believe that the military is the bill payer for the fiscal irresponsibility coming out of Washington, D.C. If you're not careful, mothers, you're going to find your sons and daughters in the smallest ground force that we've had since 1940, the smallest Navy since 1915, the smallest Air Force since the Air Force was established. Go back and look at yesterday's vote, the reconciliation vote, to stave off the sequester, and look and see who voted against your sons and daughters in uniform. That's reprehensible. Mothers, you got to stand up. Because once upon a time, in the great city-state of Sparta, there were Spartan mothers that trained their young sons to go out and defend that city-state. We need Spartan mothers. We need mothers that will stand up and make sure that we will continue to have the warriors that will stand as watchmen on the walls to make sure that our liberties, our freedoms, our democracies are safe kept. Ladies and gentlemen, it just comes down to one simple thing. Mothers, as you sit down and you get your breakfast in bed, as you get your flowers, as you get all the nice gifts, if you get taken to brunch after church, think about what are you going to leave to your children and to your grandchildren. Think about the gift that you're going to give back to them. That's what I want you to think about on Mother's Day. See, unfortunately, here in the United States of America, what are we talking about right now? We're not talking about our debt. We're not talking about our deficit. We're not talking about the health care law, which really affects the most personal decision that you can have. We're not talking about Dodd-Frank. We're not talking about failed economic policies and tax policies. We're talking about gay marriage. We're talking about going out and having $15 million parties with Hollywood stars. America does not need a rock star. America does not need a Hollywood actor. America needs a dedicated statesman. America needs a courageous leader. America needs a competent leader. America needs a committed leader, a convicted leader, a leader of impeccable character. That is not going to happen if you don't get out come November the 6th and work to make sure that the future and the legacy of America is passed on to our subsequent generations. The DNA of an American citizen flows with freedom. Do not let that be cut off. Mothers, honor America and continue to raise up young men and young women that will ensure the strength, the greatness, and the exceptionalism of this country. It's about the moms. God bless you all. God bless the mothers. Have a happy Mother's Day. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.